Wow.
Yeah. So you had a big night last night.
Yeah.
That's
it was
I
wild.
heard.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
There's a lot of Spanish people.
Yes. Everyone was speaking Spanish. I was wondering if you guys were understanding David.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before we went there, I said, I think Alex is going to ask the crowd to find out, because you have to sing to the crowd, wherever you are, or have translated or whatever. So, and I thought, oh, this is beautiful. And then we were cued in when you would start singing English, but actually, Anna and Marcella and Philippi were translating your lyrics as you were singing them. So it worked out easily.
Yeah, I don't mind to do it in English or Spanish, but I just ask. And
we're in Mexico.
We're in Mexico. So and it's beautiful to connect with the language of the space.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a little story about how I already knew this place before coming. Because I don't know if I should I speak through this?
Yeah.
But then it's reverb, I'll take out the reverb.
Oh yeah, you can take off the reverb.
I see them outside.
So, yeah, this is very wild for me to be here, really, because I've been listening to you for the past 10 years, maybe. And I started doing a course in miracles in 2014, and I think you were one of the first teachers to come through, and that I really resonated with. And so I've been listening to you, just listening and integrating slowly and practicing, and so it's very beautiful to be here. And in one of your speeches, I think you mentioned La Casa de Milagros. Sorry, Casa de Milagros, where is this, no? And I found out that it was in Mexico, and I just pinned it on my Google Maps, just to maybe one day I'll go. And I put it there. And when we were doing this tour, I got invited by Marcela to come to this community in Mexico close to Lago Chapala. But I never put them together. And yesterday I was checking, where's this place in La Casa de Milagros? I'm like, no way. So it's very beautiful to be here. Yeah, totally. And so, yeah, I'm very, very blessed to be here. Very honored.
Yeah, very honored.
Thank you.
This place has had lots of music and dance and things in the yard, but not for a while. So this is like a fresh breeze of spirit's love blowing through and bringing out the blankets, pillows.
Lovely. Well, while I'm here, would you like me to sing a little bit, or what?
That'd be lovely.
Is everyone here?
Looks like we get a full
We got
crowd.
5 minutes or so.
Yes.
Do you want to test?
We are.
Yeah, I'll test it.
Yeah. Yeah, they just gave the thumbs up. Yeah, even though we have 4 houses, they're all on the grounds. I live here.
Right there.
11-year-old youth leader is on the grounds.
Okay. Everything is changing, but I can't see, 'cause I'm moving too fast. And my heart is aching, but I can't speak. No, I can't find the words to tell you how I feel. show me how to greet you in every heart and move out of my weary mind. Oh, the miracles will flow before your eyes, my dear. Oh, the physical dissolves into the skies. Come near. Oh, your love, higher Thank you for the fire that burns inside, all the courage you make me feel. Every time I wonder, you're by my side. You pull me back to what is real. Oh, the miracles will flow before your eyes, my dear. Oh, the physical world dissolves into the sky. Come near. Everything is changing, and now I see all the colors that shine in me. And the time will stop when we're running deep, and we grow together and free. Thank you very much. I'm shaking.
Everyone else is melting. Liquid.
Just expose it. That's so sweet.
Thank you. I'd like to sing one that's very, very related to a person. Well, all of them are, because it's one of my biggest inspirations. But there's one that I felt that I really felt that there was like a direct communication. I just like opened my mouth and all these words started coming out. And it's called In the Real World.
Get the tissues out.
And I feel like it's a reminder that it is possible to to be still and to just become a channel. No? So this one's one that I really wanted to sing. In the real world, and I found myself in the real world. I'll meet you there in the real world. I'll meet you in the real world, free from the guilt and oppression, free from the constant depression, open to just feel the emotion, away from hatred and judgment, free from the killing and fighting. I'll meet you there in the real world. Oh, and wake up from a dream and look around you. Look around you, see what's been missing for you to do. And let go of that veil that's stopping you from connecting to everything you knew. Everything you know. Stop paying attention to the things that make you tired, things that make you bored now. Now, the power is yours. You are responsible for every situation you create. Stop fighting the system. The new liberation comes from the silence in you. I'll meet you there. In the real world. in the real world. I'll meet you there in the real world.
Delicious.
Thank you. Wow.
We're left with a hush. Well, this is our vibe. It's like the feeling is like, from this day forth, your ministry takes on a frequency of joy. That's what we're here for. Deep, consistent joy. You can feel it coming through the music and the spontaneous vibe of it all. To give you an idea of how my week went, in the middle of the week, I came to a morning meeting and I had all this joy and inspiration, and I said, oh, that's right, this Saturday, which was yesterday, I'm doing a movie kind of to a global audience of like over 100 people from all around the world, and we watched movies together, and I let the spirit come through, set it up, and then comment during the movie at different parts, key points and things, and then we go on. But yesterday's movie with commentary was 6 hours. We went from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Susanna felt, she said, I knew it was going to go till 4. I never know, but so then I came home, had a little late afternoon siesta to make it over to your concert. But the inspiration was, Jason here and Soren, I just said, I need a movie with 4 people in it. Gandhi, Einstein, C.S. Lewis, and Sigmund Freud. And they did it. They made a composite movie of those 4. The movie was 2 hours and 27 minutes, but with setup and commentary it was 6 hours. So we used those bright lights. And the movie was pretty much set in the context of the years of Hitler's invasion of Europe, World War II, and facing what the world now has with Ukraine and Russia, very similar, with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of civilians, women and children being murdered, and yet taking us with quotes from the Course, Hero of the Dream, and all the great teachings that these 4 men had given us, and their example, especially with Gandhi and his nonviolence. So that's what we did yesterday. But I think the idea came in around Tuesday or Wednesday morning, somewhere in there, and then Jason, I said, and Kirsten said, no pressure, he just needs it, needs this composite movie. And he and Soren edited, there's a new movie that came out on Netflix called Einstein and the Bomb, which is very metaphysical, where Einstein, it's all based on Einstein's actual words. Okay. Nothing but his actual words is spoken and written. Einstein and the Bomb. And in it he says, past, present, and future are illusion. And then we go into E equals MC squared, and then quantum physics. I did a whole bunch of talk about quantum physics with that. Freud, of course. Jesus had to wait a few centuries before some of these words like ego and defense mechanisms were invented to be able to pull from a lot of the insights that Freud had. And Freud had said, all dreams are wish fulfillment, and Jesus is 100% in agreement. But the wish is actually the wish for death. The ego is a wish for death. Thanatos, Freud called it. So we had that in there, and then Gandhi clips at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the movie was Mohandas K. Gandhi. And then C.S. Lewis is a amazing, well-read, just a great writer, and just dripping with the classics from Europe, who had a conversion experience and saw the light and went from being a very staunch, devoted atheist to having these experiences of the light and actually joy in his heart that lifted him into this connection. And so one of the movies was called Freud's Last Session. Freud all of them had connections to England too. Gandhi went there for his professional university training as a solicitor, as a lawyer. Freud escaped from Vienna and went to England and spent his last year and maybe a year and a half or so in England. C.S. Lewis was born in Belfast and went to England. And Einstein actually fled his home and was taken in as a haven in England. So all four men lived at the same time period. They had to deal with the seeming outpicturing of World War II, and they all had a deep desire to know the truth. And then we took the metaphysics of Jesus to take all of that and go higher. It only took 6 hours. Yeah. So, and then we put it up on all the platforms. We'll go out. I don't know, Soren knows how long it will take to get something like that edited and put out, but it will go out on Apple and Spotify, and for everyone who likes to listen to these things without the movie itself. But that's probably still about 4 hours or something. Over 4 hours of commentary. So, but that's what the point I'm feeling is this is the joy and the spontaneity of God's plan in this moment. It's always this moment. It's just we're being illuminated, we're being showered with inspiration. It comes through in song and dance, it comes through in talks, it comes through in many ways. Probably for the last 7, 8, maybe 10 years, we've been following along with the advances in AI, artificial intelligence, which I call AI actualizing intelligence, actualizing the divine intelligence that we actually are. How many people here are directly involved with the practical application of AI for the Holy Spirit? You can show of hands. They've been working on developing, they made a David AI bot where they just used the data of all my teachings over many, many years, and they trained it. Laverne's been working on this project how long? Since 2017, she's been working on making a bot that, I think, what they're calling it now, forgiveness AI, that basically takes you through a guided process of going into your mind, and the AI basically starts out with basically, how are you feeling? And then takes you way...
The spirit,
well, that was the original one, but now there's, how many apps are there? There's Forgiveness AI map. There's David AI. Have you heard of David AI? That's the course, the spirit. But there's one called David AI, and it basically answers all your Course in Miracles related, all of the Course in Miracles related questions.
Yeah, if you go to spirit.ai, you'll see a list of our bots.
How many? How many do we have?
I think there's like 3 main ones at the moment.
Okay. And how many languages are they in?
Many, actually. I lost count. But
So these are
all the
spontaneous
major
apps
languages.
that are now come out in all these different languages.
Yeah, English, Spanish, Portuguese,
Swedish,
Russian, Japanese, Dutch, French.
So it's not just the teachings and the metaphysics that came through around the course, but it's also the practical applications. So you can ask these, like Forgiveness AI, you could have any upset of any kind of upset, and then Laverne has trained this AI meticulously. When the AI would start to go to the internet and start to try to pull things off of the process of going back in the mind, she would see it when it would go off and try to distract away from healing. Even the AI was like trying to avoid coming to the light.
Wow.
And Laverne was on it. She was like, we need more testers, we need more testers, we need to put this out. It's, she was like, it was like a bucking bronco. You were riding it. Like, she's like, staying on the... Yeah, Laverne's right out here. Lisa's looking for you. Yeah. But the thing we found with these AI bots was it all depends on the database that you feed it. It's quite spectacular if you are very meticulous with the database. And so Andy was like, first started off, he was feeding the entire text from Jesus and A Course in Miracles into the database. Quite surprised at the answers you got back when that was the Course in Miracles was your database. You just turned AI loose from that, and then Andy was trying it out with different questions, and he was like, whoa, it's like it's watching me. It knows me, it knows my thoughts. And then we've had so many community experiences over so many years that data started to be fed in, so people that were even interested in applying it to their relationships, applying it to their local communities or families, their issues that were coming up with trying to put into practice Jesus' love your neighbor as yourself, the most practical teaching ever as we approach loving God with all our heart, soul, and mind. And so that was kind of fascinating too, because of the answers it was giving and into practical application. And then because we've been doing this kind of global ministry so long, we have the things, you'll probably encounter a little bit of it, because you have technical things you have to deal with, and with travel there's a lot of logistics, because I know from all my years of traveling there's a huge amount of logistics. And then your friend who wasn't feeling well, I have a friend, Jordi, in Barcelona too. Yeah. But
there's many Jordis.
Many Jordis. Right. I've noticed. It's like I think of a kind of car or a certain color, and then it's everywhere. One day I was going to see a house, and I was going with my realtor, and it was a big, huge parking lot. She said, my car's out in the parking lot, and well, we can just follow each other. I said, it's a big parking lot. It's like a mall. Whereas she said, well, I'll just go out and find it and we'll find each other. We walked out in this huge parking lot. We both had red cars and were parked facing each other. She had her little crucifix hanging down. She took me to this house. We went out to the road, and as we approached the road in our two red cars, I looked to the right side of the road, and every vehicle on the road was red.
Oh.
I was like, oof. And I looked to the left, and every vehicle on the entire road, it's probably like 20, 25 cars, were all red. And I was like, okay. I think I said something like, whoa, the blood of Jesus, or something like that. I said, it's because it was so much red. And then we followed her, and we were guided to a house which we still live in today, and the address of the house is 1, and you can see it as you drive down the road. It's this big Lisa was like, holy Jesus, all the way down. But the kind of quantum experiences where we have a name or a color or something or a number, it's just like peppered all around us, those kind of, just teaching us that we're all connected, we're all one. So we've actually started to apply, I think at the end of last year I did like 7 meetings, seven summits, and we pretty much were in the practical application of helping, training AI to help us save time, so we have more time for prayer and meditation and singing and dancing, and less. And then you show up, and everyone, that's it. That's what we want. That's how we want our spirituality to be.
Beautiful.
Spontaneous. So we're just enjoying it, we're like, and this is perfect that you're here, because everybody here wants to live just a spontaneous, guided life, and I can tell that's where your music is coming from. Yeah.
I'm just fascinated by being next to you and hearing you.
You've been listening to the voice.
Yeah, I mean, for me it's been a very, very intense process to get to being able to express myself like this. Gone through a lot of times where I really didn't believe that I can do it, and I was telling the story yesterday in the concert that precisely was Mexico, the beginning of an opening for me in 2012, when I felt like very depressed with my life and felt like I was in a loop, and I felt like there must be another way. I can't be like living like this all my life and feeling this nonsense. I want to feel joyful. I want to feel happy. I want to feel free, So I decided to go travel the world, and I came to Mexico without any return ticket, just with my backpack, a little guitar. And by that time I was singing, but I wasn't singing my own songs. I was singing songs that I loved, from like oldies, jazz, soulful songs. But I was very shy to share my own stories, I didn't know how to express it. So it took a long time for me to like start meeting people that really had overcome this obstacle and were like shining, and I was feeding from all these experiences, and by the time I got to South Africa from 2012, 2 years later, I arrived to South Africa, and I meet this brother that was in a very similar position than me. He wanted to make his own music, but he came from the business world, and he felt like he wasn't good enough. But he recorded himself, like some songs that he had, and recorded himself with a microphone and a guitar in his bedroom. And when I got to meet him, he showed me like what he was doing. And when I listened to that, my head really exploded, because it made me understand that you can do whatever you want. If you feel it and you put love into it and care, it evolves through time, it grows and expands, and it becomes something incredibly beautiful. And so that relationship with my brother Yannick was super empowering for me. And we spent 2 years in South Africa, like traveling the country and playing everywhere, in the streets and everywhere, barefoot, singing, like five men singing like African tunes. It was very empowering. And then after that, I came back home to Barcelona, and I started like vomiting all this information in form of music, And that has led me here to be able to share back to Mexico exactly like 12 years later.
Because you came in here in 2012, and then I came the next year in 2013. I'd been traveling all over the world, and I started hearing Jesus. I'd be in China and Australia, different places, and I kept hearing Jesus use two words in my mind. And I listened, I'd say, what? It was urban mystic, urban ministry, he's turned into urban mystic. Urban ministry, and I would say, wait a minute, what is an urban ministry? I've been in London, Paris, Beijing, Shanghai, I've been in Sydney, Melbourne, I've been in, Delhi, India, I've been in a lot of urban ministry. But when I came down here, which is close to Guadalajara, I didn't realize, but it seems like this is where our little community was to grow and flourish. So I actually had a friend from up in Cincinnati, Ohio, who was living down here with a partner, and he said, I'll organize 2 all-day gatherings for you in Guadalajara. So I said, okay. So we went to Guadalajara, did the first all-day gathering, and he came up to me and he said, I'm sorry, I totally blanked on the second one. I said, you blanked on it? And he said, I forgot. I said, so this is it? And he said, yeah, this was the one. So I said, okay. So I came up here to this area to stay with he had a friend who was a minister, stay with him and his wife. And then before I flew back to the States, I was there was a real estate book, and I saw this place. So on the way to the airport, I had them come and show it to me, came in here, and then everything unfolded. And I ended up coming back when you might have heard of the Shriners Burns Institute. They help children who were burned. It was a husband and wife who had owned it, and the husband had passed away and the wife was selling it. So all these miracles began in 2013. And when I came down, when we were buying the house, I was the only one here, so I was just walking around the grounds. There was really no furniture, and we had at that time used all the money we had to buy it, so it was like, it'll all show up. Furniture, and then people, and so, yeah, and interesting that you had put that little on your maps, and here we are, Mexico. Jesus has really been using that symbol. Just trusting, just like let life carry you. Let life show you the way without having to, like a career trying to build it or shape it or form it. You just barefoot singing in South Africa with your brother and his friends. That's so organic. It's just such a witness.
Yeah, for me, this journey that took me to South Africa, and coming out of this intense depression of not knowing how to communicate with myself, it was wild to understand that I internally process things like almost in slow motion, and sometimes the world seems to be in fast forward, super intense, and me inside I'm like, and being able to travel on my own, I started like making decisions from this space. Like, what do I want to do today? Okay, today I feel like taking a walk in this town. I go do this, and things start happening, no? You meet these people that take you to this place, all these synchronicities start happening, but they started happening when I started to live in a slow tempo. And then after this journey, I went back home, and again, I started like feeling again this rush in this. Wow, I'm losing my flow, you know. So this is something that I really try to like to be with every day. Like, I take things slow. I'm gonna make this decision, but I need time to think about it, to feel it, and then respond. But when I respond quickly to questions and what do you guys want to do, things start becoming boring, really boring. And when I allow to like feel into what I really want to do and I communicate, then this happens, you know, it's magic. Yeah.
We can all take that to heart. Over the past week or two, maybe if we have a roving mic, but there was like huge undoings around responsibility. I think that push is of society, of the world, is tied into a belief in like personal responsibility, striving, driving, trying to build something, make something, trying to do something to the world or in the world, to try to change the world. And that slow, easy, relaxed feeling is just the Spirit's guidance saying, come here with me, abide with me, and just let it all unfold. And that's kind of like, I know we've had a few different things. I guess Susanna and Andy, you took a trip to Puerto Vallarta, and we were calling it an AI admin summit. And then when Susanna got back, how many days was it? 5 days. Everything around what they thought was they were going to do came in a download in about 15 minutes, and then they just played in Puerto Vallarta for the rest of the 5 days. It got accomplished in 15 minutes. Maybe you want to share about that, because that's what sounds like what this is about.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. It was actually just a very deep prayer to relax and trust and let go of time and just be taken into a different way of thinking. And yet we had this assignment, like AI admin, how can we merge and just save a lot of time, really. But closer to the time of the trip, more and more it felt like, wow, that's just a small part of the trip. It's like much bigger. It's really just more about the connection and just finding that place of rest. And so, yeah, we went and just really had to trust, like, just see if we hear any prompts, like, about the specific assignment. And day one, nothing. Okay, so let's just trust, relax, and enjoy. Go walk on the beach. And day two, same. So just trust deeper, relax deeper, and just, yeah, really focus on the connection and the joy, and just that it will be shown. And then I think maybe the third or the fourth day, we all of a sudden, I don't even know how it happened, but the thoughts came in so quickly, and it's like, oh, boom, 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 let's look at that. 15 minutes later, it's like, oh, I think that was it. That was not the reason we went. That's like way too small for that to be the reason for the trip. So I feel like for myself, it's just been this huge experience of a contrast, such a contrast, and being taken out of time and into that flow of the moment. And I think that's where, for myself, like, that's what I want to live from. So when you share that, I like really resonate with what you're sharing, and then how to integrate that into day-to-day life or something here. And so it's been very powerful experience, just like a total shift with what do I value more. And yeah. Yeah, it feels like it's actually just still very much integrating, but such gratitude for finding that space. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, that's beautiful. Mhm. Reminds me of a line from a John Lennon song. Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. And it's funny how it's almost like we don't even have to figure out how to integrate it into daily life. It's like it itself is life. It has that pace to it. It's very soft and gentle, very intuitive. It's life itself. It's the presence of God in our heart, and it's just showing us. And we have to make that our top priority. I think I had the same kind of experience when my early days of traveling. Whenever I would go back to my hometown, I would feel things start to speed up. And I guess maybe I had unconscious expectations, or now I would just say I had still lingering past associations in my mind that were kind of like quicksand, that I would try to dance over them and they would catch my toes and, oh, here I am again. But then the more I went out on, like you, with these big travels and trips, then I just felt like I was letting go into the stream, like it was more like a twig in the river. And the river would wind and bend and bubble and do whatever it was doing, and I was just in the current. And it was very involuntary too. It didn't feel like I had to figure things out or make plans. Lots of synchronicities, just things showing up. But I think what I'm hearing from what you're saying, Alex, is just the permission and the determination and the spaciousness to allow yourself to be carried like that. That seems like that's the huge lesson for all of us. Even our dog Benito is relaxing. Yep. So I mentioned his name. He's off to chase a bird or something. But yeah, it's so glorious because it feels like that is life itself. We're touching life itself in us, and we don't really have to try to fit it into the world. We just have to be in it, be it. Yeah. It's sweet. Sweetness.
Sometimes I wonder though, when there's like situations, like when you were mentioning now, this war on Ukraine, things like that are very rough. Like I had the experience to be in Israel the day before this last war started. So the day before Hamas came in and there was this terrorist attack. And so I was in this whole thing and I was like so confused. Like how can this happen? I was lucky enough to be able to leave the country the next day. But then when I left and I came back to Barcelona, I started like hearing all this counterattack and this situation. No, that's very, very, I don't know, very strange. And so how to stay in the flow when all this aggressive energy is happening? How to not unbalance yourself, no? How can you help in these situations?
Yeah, I know when I went to a lot of different countries, but probably about 10, 12 years ago, I went down to Colombia. And at the time I went to Colombia, people there hosted me out in the rural areas outside of Kali, out in the mountains, and they did kind of say, here's the context of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a civil war in our country that's been going on for many years. There's the military, there's the paramilitary, there's the guerrillas that come down from the mountains and kidnap our children and do anything. So it was interesting that Jesus had kind of sent me right into a country that was dealing with a kind of a civil war with like 3 different sides to it going on, and there was all protest going on. Sometimes one day I would wake up and they would say, "Oh, we were going to go into Kali, but there's massive protests. The streets are filled with huge protests, and so we don't feel it's safe to go there." And I say, "Okay," and there were situations where I would go to course groups like over in Bogota, and they'd say, "Well, you're going to meet a woman who's a course facilitator whose son was kidnapped by the guerrillas. So when she's doing her lessons every day, that's her main issue she's working at. Her child was abducted and taken away." And so it was more what would seem much more extreme than many other of my travels around the United States and Canada. It seemed it's the same world, but it's more apt to be perceived as extreme. One time I was in communist China with my friend Francis, and we were doing a little tour of 3 cities, and we were going to do our final stop in Beijing. And just like you did your final concert in Mexico yesterday, there's a hotel in Beijing, a big hotel, supposed to be 250 people there and everything. The night before, the organizers came and said, "Well, there's 3 different teachers for 3 different spiritual pathways, and one of them mentions A Course in Miracles a lot, and the government has detained, they've taken these 3 teachers that have just been teaching similar things to what you're teaching, and basically we feel it's not safe. We're in Beijing, we're in the capital where the government is, this is to do a public gathering in front of the communist government. This is not good." They say, "I totally trust you." I said, "You're the organizers, they said, "We know we put this out and people are supposed to be coming to this big hotel and everything," but they said, "We do not feel comfortable with it." I said, "Well, it doesn't matter to me. You can do whatever you want." And they said, "Well, we do not feel for you to be here." This was like midnight, and they were telling me this. They were saying, "We want to move you to another hotel right now." And I said, "Okay." So me and my friend Francis said, "We'll go whatever you we trust you completely. It's all about this moment. It's about the connection. It's about flowing with what's given, not even expectations around what was planned and organized." And so when they took us to the other hotel, it was a big team of organizers, like maybe 8 or 10 organizers, and they were like, they started to have a sad look in their face, like, "Oh my God, we were so looking forward to this, and we don't even mind that it's canceled, but we're just sad." And I said, well, what would you want? What would you want? Let's pray together. What would you want? They said, "Well, we just want to be together with you tomorrow." And I said, "Oh, that's so sweet." I said, I know nothing about Chinese culture. I said, "Do they have any hot tubs in Beijing?" And they said, "We have the largest indoor hot tub facility, pools, spas and pools in the world. We even have a restaurant in there. There's trees." I said, "That's perfect. So we could just spend all day in the tubs together." They were like, "Yeah." And I said, and there's a restaurant there. Yeah, so there's food. I said, we just hang out all day and be together and enjoy this. This is our last day, the last day of the tour. So let's do that. And they were so happy. And then I took it that when Jesus says all things work together for good, there are no exceptions except in the ego's judgment. That to stay in the purpose, the connection, regardless of the situations that seem to be happening, it helped me start to realize that my choice of what I perceive is always there. I can either see it with the spirit and feel the unified connection of everything, or I can let past thoughts come in, danger, warning, fear, for safety and all those things. So when I first took my trips to rural Colombia during the guerrilla warfare that was going on there, I had never seen so many guns and pistols and rifles close up. I mean, when they took me out away from Cali into the areas, everybody, there were guns everywhere. It was like I'd seen more guns on television in movies, but not up close. But to me, I had this feeling of joy that everybody was playing their part perfectly, and that underneath everybody is a deep prayer for love and connection. So I remember rifles over their shoulders and everything. I would go by and I would wave to them, and they would wave to me. I went to Argentina. I was in downtown Argentina, Buenos Aires, and it was like the changing of the guards they have up in England, where it was a bank, I think, and 2 guards were being relieved by 2 more guards for another shift. And I was watching the guards, and I was like, this is fascinating. And the guards went up and they kissed each other with these big rifles. They kissed each other on the cheeks. And that's adorable. That's just absolutely adorable. I would tell my host, "Did you see that?" And they said, "Oh yeah, that's customary when they change the." I say, amazing. So it started to be like that, even when I would find myself in what people would describe as kind of dangerous situations. I mean, the Middle East has a reputation, and that was like what the world would call an unprecedented terrorist attack. And I also heard about the music festivals that were going on and all that. I was reading that too. But I did find that wherever I went, it would be more just trusting that it was working together for good. I would be off sometimes in outside of Buenos Aires, where there'd be extreme poverty, economy collapse, financial collapse in Argentina, with the pesos going down to almost nothing. Women and children, I was off in the rural areas. I met a group of women, and they could not afford to buy in Casa de Milagros. Later on, Jesus would have me link up with a man in Bogota who was a businessman, and we would collaborate to get the Course in Miracles print books, the printing press down in a factory in rural Colombia to distribute in Casa de Milagros books all over, but it was just the orchestration that was given through guidance. And when I was meeting with the mothers, they could not afford, there was no course book, and they had Xeroxed one chapter from the text, and that's all they could do was pray and read that one chapter and pass around the Xerox copy. And I could feel that the call was so strong, and I thought, wow, I'm privileged to be able to be used in a way that can teach guidance and unified perception. But it was a convincing, just like coming out of depression for you took a lot of convincing and a lot of building of confidence, that to me, I began to start to see that everything was happening for me, for my forgiveness lessons. It was all synchronized with my daily lessons practice. And I did go through a lot of scenes that one time I was flying from I think the East Coast I was supposed to fly to LAX, catch a flight to Hawaii to meet a Jewish man who I'd never met. And when I got to LAX, I was in the airport and I had to take a bus to another terminal. So I hopped on the bus and I thought I was going to another terminal, but the bus driver drove outside of LAX. And we were all like, what's happening? Similar thing happened when I was in China. I was flying towards Shanghai to catch a flight the next day back to the United States, and the captain came on and he was speaking Mandarin, but I had my translator right next to me, so I was saying, what's he saying? He's saying, David, that the plane has been diverted. I said, the plane is diverted. For most people, the word diverted, you don't like your flights to be diverted. Diverted. It went to Ningbo, and a whole bunch of miracles happened from me being diverted away from the city where I was supposed to be going, and I had so many miracles happen. And the same thing happened that day in LAX when we were going towards a terminal. The bus driver takes us outside of the airport, takes us to a parking lot, and we're all in the bus going, what's happening? What's going on? They said, there's a gunman who's it's a mass shooting happening in the terminal that we were going to. And we were diverted on the bus away. I had thought before, I thought, maybe I could walk it, and then I thought, no, it's too far, I'm going to take the bus. Hopped in the bus and then got diverted completely from that. It's very similar to, like I showed that movie yesterday, and there was a scene where Gandhi's in South Africa with his dark skin, walking down the streets in probably Cape Town or Johannesburg, one of the big cities. And he's walking with his friend, some of you remember from the movie Gandhi, who's a priest, who's got the white collar on and everything. And a group of 3 boys, they started calling him by derogatory nicknames because of his color of his skin, and telling him as the priest and him are walking on the sidewalk, get off the pavement, you colored, get off the sidewalk. And they had some derogatory words and everything. And the priest was like, let's go the other way. Let's go the other way. And Gandhi said, no, I think there are times when we have to be courageous. I think of Christ, he says to the priest. Christ said, if someone smites you on one cheek, you should turn the other cheek. He said, I believe that he was trying to teach a lesson that you have to go forward in faith and trust, kind of encourage. And the priest is horrified. And Gandhi just keeps walking straight to the 3 guys that are calling him names and saying, get off the pavement. And then as they get up, one of the guys' mother comes out before there's any kind of physical confrontation and says, where, are you still down there? You get away, get out here where I can see you. You're supposed to be gone to work. And the whole scene shifts with Gandhi fearlessly going along, and the man comes out, talks to his mother, comes back over, stands right in front of Gandhi, and Gandhi, out of his mouth comes, I think you'll find that there's room for all of us. And the guy and then Gandhi steps forward. And there's a passage in the Course where It says, Jesus says, if you'll be a miracle worker for me, I will arrange time and space for you. That's nothing that none of us were raised with. Arranging time and space, and yet I've had so many experiences over these last 3 decades where it actually feels like the whole day was arranged, synchronized, all of time and space was moved for the daily lesson. And then when I got deeper into just my calling and my mission, there's been so many miracles, so many seeming arrangements of time and space that I couldn't even write a book. It would be too long. It would be like an encyclopedia volume of all the experiences where really nothing that we need is provided. We're not here to get something from the world. We're here to be the bringers of light. We're here, like Gandhi, to show the light, to shine the light of love and equality. And some of the situations the world will judge as emergencies or extreme, very extreme conditions. But through the miracles, they show us that we're like carried along, and that really nothing is lacking in any situation. It's our own holiness that we're meant to recognize and to shine. And then so many of the experiences have been where I just trust. One time I was down here in this area, and I was getting ready to go back to the United States and then go over to Europe to do a 10-country tour of Europe, and then fly to South Africa to do a tour through South Africa. And then the day before I'm to leave, I went to the dentist, and my young-looking dentist, he just looks at my teeth, and he said, "You need a root canal." I said, "A root canal? I don't have time for a root canal. I've got a world tour. I'm leaving tomorrow." He said, "Oh, you need a root canal." He said, "Now?" And he said, "You need one now." I said, "Tickets are bought. I'm leaving tomorrow." So I came back over here to La Casa and talked to a friend of mine named Judy. She took me to a friend, alternative kind of healer that had some kind of a quantum machine. Because that's easier than the dentist. Just use a quantum machine. So I go there, and are there any things to hook up to my fingers or anything? He said, no, the quantum machine doesn't need to be attached to you. So, okay. So I go there, and then the quantum machine prints out all these things of what's going to happen in my life, and what's with everything possible about the body and everything like this. And then the woman who was working with the quantum machine, she said, she and my friend Judy, the realtor, they started bursting into laughter, and I'm like sitting there with the quantum machine going next to me, 2 ladies laughing, and I go, "What's so funny? What's so funny now?" And they go, "Well, now the machine is printing out things that are good for you." And I said, "So what's so funny? What are you seeing on the printout?" And it said, "David is very compatible with cow's milk." I said, "Well, why are you laughing?" They said, 200 people come in, and the machine will say lactose intolerant, and the machine's now saying cow's milk is good for David. And the woman just burst into laughter because of this. And then it said, it's revealing the percentage of your life's purpose that you have accomplished. What percentage of your life's purpose? This is what a quantum machine does. And then they started bursting laughing. I said, "Now what's so funny?" The woman said, "I've never seen this. The machine is saying 100%. I've never seen the machine say you've accomplished 100% of your life's purpose." It was covering everything. And so, at the end of all that, I said, "Well, I've got to go on a tour, and my dentist has just has just told me that I need a root canal." And they said, oh, we have they gave me, here, we'll sell you a bottle like it was this big of colloidal silver. I said, okay. So I took the bottle, I went home, I packed it in my carry-on. Not a good idea. I go to the airport to fly. I think I had one more flight to do before I flew to the United States. And my friend Armel, who was from Belgium, she's like the lady who's at the inspections. You have to go through security. She opens it up and she's like, I had wrapped with bubble wrap this tall bottle of colloidal silver, and she's like, the woman's like, no way, they're not going to let me. So I sat down and she said, you cannot go through security with this. And I said, all right. So I went over, I found a little bench, and I chugged the entire bottle, the whole thing. They were telling me, I think the lady with the quantum machine had said, take 1 tablespoon for 12 hours or something. And I thought, oh, this is Jesus. This is a mixture of magic and miracle. My dentist said I need root canal, and Jesus has given me a quantum machine and a reading, and now he's given me a... So I sat there and just... In 20 minutes I go, and Armel was next to me. She was like, you're going to kill yourself before we get to the plane. This is like suicide. I said, I never read the instructions anyway. Gulp, 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 gulp. Still, because it's quite a few ounces, I don't know, 30 ounces, I don't know what. So finally I'm getting near the end of it, and she's like, I can't believe you're doing this. I cannot believe it. And I said, I think this is going to handle my root canal for now. It feels intuitive, like this was the magic miracle thing that I was praying for. So I did it, and then I gave the empty bottle to the security lady. She threw it away, went on my flight, came back, went to the United States. I think I went to Utah, went over, Kirsten and Jason were with me with everything. We did a 10-country tour of Europe. Then we flew to South Africa, and I think we were in Johannesburg when I started to feel something in my mouth. This feels kind of weird. I got some weird things going on. I said, well, my dentist did tell me back in Mexico that I needed a root canal immediately. So I just talked to our host, I think her name was Patricia, and I just said, well, I think I need to see a dentist. And she said, sure. She said, do you have any insurance or anything? I said, no, nothing that would work in South Africa. She said, I'll put you on my insurance. Well, I don't know that I've ever heard of that, but so she went in and she talked to them. I said, this is my friend, he's going to be on my insurance, and then see a specialist, the dentist. So I go into the dentist, and there's a woman, and she goes in there, and she's examining and everything. She's like, you need a root canal. This was weeks later, and I said, I've been told that. And she said, it's going to have to be done in 2 parts. I have to kind of drill down and inject this stuff down there. And then she said, how long are you in Johannesburg? And I said, I think it's maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe like 4 days. Then I'm off on my tour. She said, okay, I'll start now. And she drilled down, put the medicine in, whatever, came back a few days later. She did the second part. But there's been so many of those experiences where it just feels like everything is handled and arranged without my effort. There's just been so many that have happened. But it's like you were talking about, kind of going in within and just being in that real relaxed place. And it's only the ego that tries to judge certain situations and of course from the worldly perspective they would say, wow, Alex, you were very fortunate with the Casa strip experience. But I always feel there's no accidents, that we're always in the right place at the right time, and we always have actually what we need to perform our function. And then when I think of it that way, then I think, oh, I just have hundreds, really thousands of experiences where it just felt like everything just worked out, even though there was initially sometimes a fear or a doubt sometimes. So I really think it's all a convincing job, like the Holy Spirit, trying to convince us that we're spirit, and we always have been spirit, and we're not a body, and that the past, I think the guidance part gets stronger and stronger, where we start to realize that once we're just intuitive and willing to be 100% intuitive and 0% analytical, then things start to get very joyful. But to the extent we still fall back on some of those linear interpretations, then that brings up fear immediately when that happens. But it's just an opportunity to come back, choose again. So I do share a lot of the parables because people have a lot of practical questions, and that's what came up in the movie when C.S. Lewis and Freud were together. They were bantering back and forth, about God, and why does God allow these things, and the really good deep questions. So we took that as an opportunity to really go deep within, and to just trust. I mean, the community is just a group of people that have come. There's so many countries represented here at this gathering, just I don't even know how many. I've quit counting, but
Six, 7, 8.
Just in the first row, they're all from different countries. Then different, yeah. Holland, Ireland, Canada. It just goes on and on. Argentina, yeah. Australia. But it's a vibrational thing. Like, we found each other with a frequency. And the funniest thing is, if we sit around and we talk, we would think, Lisa used to say it to me, I would never have chosen in a million years to be with this kind of group of people, we would say when we were at the monastery. And there's no way you can even look back to the past to figure it out, because it's just been like a symphony of this high frequency that's drawn us together. And there's been so many movements and shifts, like in the symphony, there's different parts, shifts in the symphony, but again, that is kind of like Jesus saying, who is my father, mother, sister, brother? He that does the will of our Father in heaven is father, mother, sister, brother. He was describing it like a frequency even back then, because he was saying, mothers will be turned against daughters in my namesakes, and fathers will be turned against sons, and people were, what is he talking about? Those are passages in the Bible that people don't even like to quote. But I think we just saw the new episode of The Chosen, 2 episodes down in Guadalajara. Was it a few days ago? And that it was that sorting out of letting our frequency just be carried, lifted higher and higher and higher, and letting go of all judgments of the form. Because the form judgments are what's being undone. It's just the past. To be free of past associations, and that's the music that's even pouring through you. That's the love that everyone felt at the concert last night. Everyone was just swaying and dancing, and we've been down here since 2013, but we didn't even know that. You brought a whole new group of people. We were like, oh. Jason was like, look at this crowd. We've been down here, we had, the frequency. They just came from your frequency, and you invited us, and we were there from the frequency, and it's very celestial. It feels, very mystical and very celestial. Not something that you can put in a box at all. Happily.
Not something that you can plan, no. Not at all. I was hearing a question, but I haven't formulated it yet. But it's something. So we say there's this universal frequency in the world from many different traditions, religions, that says we are one. No. Would you say that letting go of the form and the world is to fully believe this and fully live from this space without any associations to my personhood? Like, do you still identify with David?
When you were singing that Real World song, that just was, my heart chords were just strumming, because that, to me, that's what the happy dream or the real world is. And so there's such laughter in the mind, because anything that seems to be the slightest contraction it can't hold on. There's nothing to hold on to anymore. It has no foundation. So like there's this inner sense of laughter. It's like Jesus laughing, at anything. Like there's no serious moments. There's just this ha ha, this little laughter underneath, So it started years ago where I felt like I had a little bird on my shoulder that was chirping away, giving me commentary on movies and teachers and everything else. Discernment, little discernment bird. But now it just feels like it's one big happy dance. And this, like Miguel Ruiz, one of his 4 agreements was don't take anything personally. That's really what we're in now. We're in that phase of the dance and not taking anything personally. And then even if something arises, you notice it very quickly, and it's not some big drawn out drama or depression, or some of the things would be so long, like getting stuck in things, but it just doesn't have anything to hold on to. And I feel like that's what we're into now. We're here to live it, to fully live it, to be it, not to speculate or pontificate, but really to be. Yeah, that's it. It's a gift. It's like open the gift. Yeah.
What an opportunity, no? Yeah. It's a play, no?
Yeah, it does feel.
When you were saying about the soldiers, that you were like, it's like this innocence, no?
Yeah.
That kids have.
Yeah.
Going back to that.
Yeah. It's really a surrender of into this state of really not knowing anything about the world, being really kind of clueless. And like a couple days ago, when we went to see the 2 first episodes of season 4, afterwards we were just skipping through the mall like a bunch of little children, this huge mall in Guadalajara, and Emily was saying, Cheesecake Factory. I'm hearing Cheesecake Factory. And Lisa's going, Mickey D's, McDonald's. We don't have a McDonald's here in this area, We don't get out too much. So we got down there, and Jason was saying, I'm open, I can go for anything. But already Kirsten, Susanna, and Emily had gone into Cheesecake Factory, so we're standing outside. I said, yeah, go ahead. If you want to get me something, I'm going to go over to the Cheesecake Factory, but if you want to get something. So they go over to buy food from McDonald's and take it into another restaurant. And
Jason's sweating bullets.
yeah.
He said, what are we doing?
What are we doing? I said, yeah, get me a. I said, if you go to Mickey D's, get me a vanilla milkshake. So then I go into Cheesecake Factory and order a glass of milk, leche, and then I've got a malteado coming there. We're sitting there, and then they were talking. We were outside before we went in, and they said, are we going to really bring McDonald's into this restaurant and just come in with our McDonald's bag and everything? And I said, they love us so much. I said, at the cheese factory, I said, they love us so much, they'll just be so glad for all this to be in there, even if there's McDonald's. And sure enough, I sat there in the Cheesecake Factory, here comes this big bag of McDonald's and everything, and they go, oh, we checked at the front. We said, we've got McDonald's, can we come in here? And they said, go ahead. It was that we love you. They could care less if we were bringing McDonald's into their restaurant. And then the waiter was coming around. We didn't even hide it when we pulled out all the stuff from McDonald's. It was all over the table. And he's like coming up, can I take that for you? He's taking all the McDonald's. This is the state of mind where you expect only miracles, and that was my reply was, can you take McDonald's into the... I said, they love us so much. That was my answer. And sure enough, they did. It played out that way too. It was that way. And then Jason had a kind of a healing of that, because he said when he was younger, he took some food into a restaurant in Canada and were kicked out. He still had the past association. I said, there it is. That's what this is all for.
It looked like the owner was coming up, and I thought, oh, here we go. He's coming to kick me out again. And he comes up, he's like, would you like butter with your corn or something?
What do you need? Let me take that box.
I ordered a glass of milk. The three of them got a salad. And then we had McDonald's fries coming in and quarter pounders and everything like this. And then Lisa's like, Kirsten and I were just here. They have the best corn, bowl of corn. Okay, we said to the waiter, we want a corn. Two corns. 3 corns. 4 corns.
And another corn and butter.
And more, and they kept bringing this corn and butter, and then Jason was waiting to get his corn, and corn bowls were being passed around. It was just, we just have so much fun. Actually.
Calls children of the corn.
As we're leaving. And then JP's like, I think that's a horror movie. But
It was a heal.
it's like a vibration, it's a frequency when you're in it. There's a lot of laughter and joy, and it just spills out over the whole table. Even behind the table there was mirrors. So we were sitting eating, looking at ourselves in the mirror, and Lisa thought there was a whole other group behind us.
There was a crowd behind.
Because the mirror was there. She could see out to the side there was all these images, and she thought, oh, there's a whole big crowd behind us. And I said, no, that's us. So it's like a cat, looking in the mirror. But you do get more and more clueless, but also it's everything is handled too, because we've had to navigate through lots of things over the years, but we do pray, listen, and follow. We really do. It's a habit now for us. We pray, and we just become more and more and more intuitive, and then the more intuitive you become, you start to realize that the whole world you see is a reflection and an orchestration of what's going on in your mind. So I call it the divine order. Then you start to see it all as this real world, this happy dream, this dance. And then even things that still can be talked about, like the war in Ukraine and different things, you start to, that was part of the 6-hour movie yesterday. I was saying that Jesus is saying that the world that you perceive is nothing more than the reflection of the world that you believe, the thoughts that you believe about yourself. And he said, if you believe in a private mind with private thoughts, which is what personhood, really individuality is, then you'll see a private world that cannot be shared. Only the thoughts of God can be shared. So you're just perceiving your own thoughts. And you can only change your mind about that and change the thoughts, release the attack thoughts, like in lesson 23. And so at first it starts out as an idea, but the more you really give yourself to it every day, then you start to feel that the world is subjective. It's just what your emotions are, your daily emotions. But as you go through a purification process, then there's just lots of joy and laughter and yeah, when we don't take too many outings, but when we take an outing, it's a lot of joy. Just even the traffic, it's quite a fun trip. I was going one time, Philippi was taking her first drive here in Mexico City traffic, and we're zipping along on the highway. She's driving, and I noticed very quickly there's the exit right there for the airport. And so she, on a full 3-4 lane, we go, just across. We're like, oh, okay, made it, good. She's like, you never forget.
You need to go to the right. Wait, now!
Now, and she just... But we do that a lot too. Like if I'm out driving and there's traffic coming both ways, I'll just look one way and I'll say somebody, you check the other way. And then I just totally trust and rely on them 100%. I'm not even looking, they're like, go, now. I just go. Don't even look to see if the traffic's coming. It's just like the Matrix. I can guide you, but you must do exactly as I say. Go, now. Lift, raise up, do it slowly, because you get into that rhythm of listen and follow, and the trust grows stronger. And you actually feel like you're just living intuitively from your heart, and that the world is just reflecting that, but you're not really putting faith in your 5 senses. Because I've had so many experiences. One time I was in Roscoe, New York with Ken Wapnick and Gloria, and it was a weekend. They were doing like a retreat, and it was the weekend, and they had this big lodge, but on the weekend it was completely vacant and empty. And so I was walking by, and I heard Jesus say, go into the lodge. And I thought, I don't even know, it looks empty, I don't even know if it's open. He said, go in. So I go, the door opened. So I walked into what I thought was a completely empty big lodge. And then they had, shows how many years ago, it was like a phone booth in the lodge. So it said, go over to the phone booth. And I went over to the phone booth and I just stood by it, and then the phone started ringing. And I'm in a big empty lodge with a phone booth and a phone ringing, and then Jesus said, answer the phone. So I answered the phone and I said, hello, this is Foundation for A Course in Miracles, which is Ken and Gloria's. And they said, oh, I'm so glad I got a hold of you. I have a friend up there, and it's an emergency, and I have to talk to her, and this is her name, and this and this. I'm standing in an empty lodge in a phone booth with answering the phone, saying that, and she says, please, I'm so grateful that you were there to answer the phone and everything. I said, okay, what's her name again? So she gave me her name, and then out of my mouth comes, in an empty lodge, just a minute. I'm like, just a minute. I don't even know this lady, and I don't see this lady. And the voice said, just a minute. So then I got walked out of the lodge to a road, and I saw 3 women in the distance slowly walking toward me. And they came closer, closer, closer for a few minutes, and then when they came to me, I smiled and I said, are any of you, and I said the woman's name, and she said, that's me. I said, you have a phone call in there. And it was like, this is just Jesus having fun. He's like taking it away from the 5 senses and the past. Just listen, follow, don't interact as if there's actually something that you know what's happening. And that has happened so many times where things just flow and unfold. And I would never in a million years have even imagined some of those things, but there they were. So it was just like him saying, I will guide you, I will tell you what to say or do, put your total faith in me and let go of your past learning. So sometimes it feels like, you're Stevie Wonder. You mentioned him as Stevie Wonder. You feel like you're just happy like Stevie Wonder and you're blind to the world, but you're loved, you're taken care of, you're connected, you're happy. That was what we wanted all along anyway, But it's like expands your faith when you keep going through those things. Your faith grows stronger and stronger. Like Jesus telling Thomas, he takes Thomas, has Thomas put his finger in the hole, and then 2,000 years ago said to Thomas, to all the apostles, blessed are those who have seen and who have believed. Far greater blessed are those who have not seen and believed. He was teaching us, don't put your faith in the 5 senses. Expand the faith of your heart and your guidance, your intuitive guidance. And that's the faith. That's because when I say we have to trust, people usually say, trust what? And trust who? And like you said, there's so many traditions all over the world, and there's the same frequency that when you travel the world, you start to really feel it in many cultures and many seeming diverse places and people. But it's there. It's there for sure. We went to this concert last night, and I think was it the first song you sang? Maybe you could sing that for us, because he sang it, second song. It was in English, and we're hearing Son of God, and I'm Son of God. And I was looking over at Kirsten, and I was saying,
well, that's from a line in the chorus.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to her. I said, he's singing, he's opening up the concert, singing the lyrics from the chorus. I don't know if you can play that, if you have the right...
I can sing it.
You can sing
but
it.
I need my friend on the handpan.
A cappella, yeah.
I can sing it a cappella. It's just I turned that, because it's one of my favorite phrases. I am Spirit, Holy Son of God, free from all limits, saved and healed and whole, free to forgive, and free to save the world. The last 2 phrases I put aside because they didn't fit on the on the song, and I play it with my friend on the handpan, which is beautiful. And it goes something like, I am Spirit, Holy Son of God. I'm free from all limits. I'm saved and healed and whole. I'm saved and healed and whole. You see, I am Spirit, Holy Son of God, I'm free from all limits. I'm saved and healed and whole. I'm saved and healed and whole.
Are you hearing this? Sometimes you hear that at a course gathering, but we were just out there and everyone was all swirly and there it was. So that was so beautiful for us. That was like, it touched our heart. Yeah.
Sana Corazón. Well, it's an interesting one because it came from a long process of, especially in my relationship with my wife, where I felt there was a moment where I focused a lot on my work, and she felt a bit pushed away, pushed aside. But it wasn't my intention at all. I always wanted her to be part of and to envision us traveling together and, you know, having fun. But there was something in her that I felt didn't want to accept this. And so I felt also rejected, and we both felt rejected, no? And so we went through a very, very intense process of, should we be together or should we just like go on our own paths? But it was very strange because we loved each other so much. So we felt like we hit this wall, no? And it was super painful. Like I went through a very hard time and feeling this pain, and we even like split for a while, and I went back to my parents' house and I was just there for a few weeks just feeling this and crying and like really going through this pain. And finally, after a while, it became clear for me that this is not something that only I am feeling. This is it feels very common. You know, in all my relationships, I feel there's moments when we just say things that reveal that we don't love ourselves and we don't appreciate ourselves and we feel like we're not good enough. No? So I touched the wound. It was this feeling of I'm not good enough. And she's reflecting it to me and I'm reflecting it to her, and it's super painful, but it's something that we have to face, no? And so I started playing this music, and these melodies came at that time, but there were no words. Like I couldn't put it into words. What do I actually want to say? And I don't want it to be like a victim kind of song, like, oh, you don't love me anymore, like all these typical songs that reinforce the thing, no? So it took a long time. It took like a few years to actually turn that melody into words, and they came in Spanish. And it's funny because they actually came on a road trip I did a couple years ago in my van, and I took like 2 weeks to travel through Spain in the van, and it was beautiful because I was on my own. I slept anywhere I wanted. This is a nice spot. I park here, spend the night, couple days, bathe in the river, and I was listening to you all day. driving and listening to David. Yes. And one day I get to this beautiful lake and I meet this guy on the road. He was hitchhiking, and I invite him in, and we travel together to this lake, and we spend the night in the lake. We make a fire, and we spend a beautiful night together chatting. And the next day he leaves, and I'm there in the lake by my own, and I start playing the song again, and blah, it just comes out. And they come in a way that heal, in a way that every time I sing it, it's like, it's like,
Yeah, I know, they feel it. I see it on their faces. Their faces show it.
So yeah, it talks about this pain, but in a beautiful way.
Siento tu dolor, hermana, que yo guardo el mismo sabor amargo. Tienes un poder infinito, y no sabes cómo compartirlo. Creíste que el oro está en el mundo. Cierra los ojitos, ve a lo profundo. Sabes bien que estás aquí, y esa rueda va a morir al fin. Todo mi canto será para ti, con este sonido que me nace aquí. Cantaré, cantaré. Sana el corazón. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. Siento que me vengo lastimando con toda la pena del pasado. Ya pasó, ya pasó. Creí que lo había perdonado, pero ya me duele todo el cuerpo. No es amor, no es amor, Me abro para soltar este peso. Yo rajé lo que vi en el espejo. Inocencia, inocencia. Que el amor no se encuentra en el tiempo. Es incondicional y eterno, presente que ya brilla en el cielo. Te libero para vivir este momento. salirnos de la rueda. Perdonando el pasado, liberando las cadenas del tiempo. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. Maybe we can sing together. Sana, sana el corazón. Love heals the heart. El amor te sana, sana el corazón. El amor te sana, sana el corazón.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Thinking of inviting you here for lunch, but I know you're flying out today, or tomorrow. Oh, good. So there's no, we don't have to whisk you off.
I got invited to this hot springs,
Oh, yeah.
so maybe after lunch.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. They're famous around here, the hot springs. Yeah. West Ahihik. Yeah. Well, let's all share our love and gratitude here to have Alex
Thank
here
you,
at
guys. Thank you
the
very
Casa
much.
de Milagros.
Qué bonito. Muchas gracias. Gracias.